Hey, gang. Hello, friends. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, John. How are you? How are you? Hello. Hey, Fanny Faye Davis. Good morning, Irene. How are you? Why? Who waved back, huh? Did anybody wave back? Somebody must have waved back. Morning, Bonnie. How are you? Hey, Michelle. Good to see you. Kristen, good morning to you. Glad you're here. Hey, Bob Guinan. Hola. Yo quiero Taco Bell. Hello, everybody. I waved back on. I knew you would. If anybody, just Ducky. Quack quack. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good to see you. Ray, you're all well. A little camera trouble this morning, so I'm running I think I was about 30 seconds late. So my apologies. I'll take it out of my pay. So cheers. Um, I hope everybody is well this morning. Just Ducky, so good. Sharon Landry, hi. Good to see you this morning. So fun. Look at all these people. This is so weird. A little precious rain. Oh, very nice. Yep. Yeah. It's been rained a good part of the weekend here for some of it. And yeah, we are at least on Saturday and alike. And then Sunday we had hey, Lori, I hope you're well. Gosh, I saw your dog bite just a little bit ago. Like, that's not awful. I'm so sorry. Make sure I hadn't already started vacation. Yes, that is a good point. Hey, Sherry Ladd, good morning. Hope you're well. Yes, I'll be on vacation the next week. So I will, this is the last 11/11 for a week, and I'll be back not tomorrow, but Wednesday next, as they say. So we'll be back here with another 11/11 then. And so, yeah, so my hope today is to leave you with a little bit of time, of a little bit of things to contemplate over this week as we come together. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle. I think we're tech good on this end. So far, so good. Yeah, that we have had Facebook issues here and now, so it is a real concern. So sorry, but just so you know, two things. That one is that these do get posted on the Facebook page, and they live there in perpetuity, and they'll be there for a while. But they also get cleaned up by the wizardry and wonderfulness of Yvette and posted on our YouTube page. So, and if I could ask anything of you, if you could go to our YouTube page, it's FCC Fall River MA. So there's two. If you can get the one with my face, a lot of my face on it, that would be great. Um, but it has all of the 11/11s all the way back from right from the very beginning that we started, and our worship services and some of the other events. So if you'd like to kind of take a stroll down memory lane for some of you, or be a part of that, please like our both our Facebook page and our YouTube page. That can be in order to um, and if you find too, if you've watched any of these and there's any of these 11/11s that have spoken to you, give those a like as well. Those are super important for just getting some visibility both on the page and this ministry and some of the things that are going forward. So I just encourage you to help spread the word. So Hey, Lori, dog bites a lot better. Hope you and wife. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're gonna be in Maine for a bit. We're going to a wedding and all of that is fun. I get to be a I get to be a the first. I'm gonna be a best man for the very first time. It'll be fun. Uh, work at the working jail. Oh gosh, yeah. So Michelle's in jail. Everybody. No. So she works at the uh, correctional facility there, doing great work and caring and loving for those folks on the margins and helping them out. So doing great things. So anyway, I make a funny. Um, Wayne, hey Wayne, Jamie, yes, I'll be in Maine for a bit. So, all right, I'm here. Hey Vicky, gosh, everybody's. It's like we're getting the band back together. Everybody's here. Oh my gosh! All right, we got to get going, or we're just gonna sit here and jibber jabber all day, which is not the worst thing if we ever did. But so good morning. It is the 15th day of June, middle of June, the Ides of June. The very we're over half. We're nearly halfway through this year. By the way, if you were wondering about 2021, it's almost gone now. That we're in on this Tuesday and at another 11:11, and I am so glad that you're here. You're a part of our journey. I love seeing all your little faces. I love seeing everybody's welcome. It is such a gift. So that in encouragement. So I want to talk a little bit about Proverbs today. We don't talk much about Proverbs in the Christian church, and we really should because man, it's good eating. Like it is. And so now, if you don't know, the book of Proverbs in the Old Testament was they were really considered these little sayings that for kids. They were really considered kids sayings. There were these ways in which that they were and not little kids, but for middle schoolers or coming into adulthood. There was these ways that they would find ways to get to begin to lean into the life of wisdom, to begin to lean into this notion of seeing the lens not through just seeing the world not through just a lens of like desires and wants or interests or ideas, but to begin to see it through this lens of wisdom. And so wisdom is the prevalent idea in Proverbs. So I want to just read a little bit of the 24th of Proverbs 24 and talk about it a little bit today because I think it's relevant to where we are right now. I try to always kind of gauge what's happening in the world and where we are and I feel like this kind of spoke to me today. So this is starts in the third verse. Through wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is strong. Yes, a man of knowledge increases strength. For by wise counsel you will wage your own war, and in a multitude of counselors there is safety. Wisdom is too lofty for a fool. He does not open its mouth in the gate. And it goes on to say, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. And that much of Proverbs is about contending. It's about how wisdom, who is often depicted as a woman, as this thing that we have a relationship with, and how we deal with this day of adversity, or deal with the evil schemers. Like that's often the ancient translation is the schemers, but it is really this idea of like the master of evil plots. And so it's this contending with, as if creation has within it these evil plots against us. And I don't know about you, but I've had that experience. Sometimes I've felt that, man, maybe the world really is out to get me, or at least some of the world. And this isn't a person, but just the way that things tend to sometimes constellate in life. And we come to this understanding, I think, with a notion that that we need to kind of persevere, need to be harder, need to be stronger, need to be bigger, need to be tougher, and that our failure of being tougher and now there's we need to persevere and we need to do these things, but the way and that Proverbs is definitely advocating that, but it's also saying that through wisdom a house is built, by understanding it is established. So that we're filling up our rooms, we're filling up our lives, we're building the house, we're building, I would say in these days, and I think many others have said, we are building the the castle within. We're building the citadel that lives inside of us. This thing that will persevere in the hard times. Now we've been through a hard year. We've been through a hard these hard months, it's not even guaranteed that the necessarily the hardness, the difficulties of these times are over. But this little line where it talks about that a wise man is strong and a man of knowledge increases in strength, and that this notion that the wise counsel you will wage your own war. It may not be a particularly politique or popular idea to think of these days, but we do wage a war. We do. There are things that are out to get us, and maybe they're not personally out to get us, but there are things that are trying to burn us down. They're trying to afflict us. There is despair. There is loneliness. There is difficulty. There's struggle. There's worry. There's insecurity. There are all these little enemies that bring their bows and arrows to shoot at us, and this what seemingly is almost a nonsensical line, that if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. And again, if we remember, this is kind of something we'd be talking to like middle schoolers about, like this idea of like, that not every day is necessarily a day of adversity, but there are days where, and we don't even get to name them, or we don't even get to know when they are, but that not every day at war is somebody shooting at you. That's not really true, but every day is a day at war if you're at war. That 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 and that it is about the smallness of one's strength. It reminds me of the story of Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt was born. He's known now as this great adventurer, but he was born as really a sickly child. He had horrible asthma. He was small in stature. He had a whip sharp mind. And he was tall and gangly. He kind of had one of those physiques. He didn't know where he began or where he ended. He was frail, and he would spend weeks at a time in bed, from even the most basic exertion. And one day his father came into his room and he said, "Theodore, you have the mind, but haven't got the body. I'm giving you the tools to make your body. I'm going to be hard. It's going to be hard drudgery, and I think you have the determination to go through with it." And now he's a kid. He's a kid, right? Like, and you think that'd be lost on a kid, but his sister, who was present for this little interchange and what came after it, came to report that she said, when she witnessed this conversation, she wasn't lost on him at all. That quite opposite, his response would be from this, with his trademark cheerful grit that would become kind of to define him. And he looked back at his father and he said, "I'll make my body." And they went off to the gym, and he began hiking, and he began moving, and he began working the weakness of his lungs and began to live what he would come to call and what he would go around the world giving speeches about. Now he was famous for being a politician, and he was famous for many things. And heck, I've got a lot of issues with his politics and all the other things that he did as a politician. But as a human being, he came to adopt what was known as the strenuous life, and this is what he would call it. And he was most famous, in fact, for his speeches and for his talks about what it came to be to mean to live the strenuous life, to be ready for the day of adversity, to know that the day of adversity was coming, to know that there would be a day of adversity, to know that life was not going to be all tricks and rainbows and Lucky Charms and Starburst. That it was going to be there would be hard days, and that we don't always get to pick them, and that we are in this as the proverbs say, as we wage our war. It's not an unhelpful way for us to think about life. Now, if it's the only way we think about life, that might be problematic. But it is a way that we come to understand, because there's an invitation, I think, in a way. We talk about it with people of character all the time, that we might come to be, we might have integrity, right? We talk about people of character, they have integrity, and it's the same way we talk about a ship's hull. If a ship is in the water and it doesn't sink, it has integrity. It actually has the ability to keep the water out and the people or the things in the boat and the water outside the boat where it belongs. The hull, it's a hull that has integrity, and that a hull that is broken down, or a ship that is breaking, is losing its integrity. Well, so too is it with us, and so too are we to really cultivate, I think, this notion of a castle within, because and it's this issue, it's this image that has been used again and again and again and again, and that it's what I want to offer you over the next week to think about your castle, to think about your soul, to think about your boundary, to think about the way in which you are prepared for the day of adversity or not, or and the way in which you might embrace this strenuous life that Roosevelt talked about. Because it's Jesus that tells us, take up your cross and follow me. Take up the very point of pain in your life. Take up the day of, I mean, is there a greater day of adversity in all of creation than the crucifixion? I don't know that there is. And that's if we talk about that as the day of adversity, to take up our day of adversity and follow Christ, to take up our day of adversity and to walk it out with the one who made us. And that in doing that, we gain integrity. We gain the strength to step into those places. If you want to make iron hard and turn it into steel, do you know how that's done? You hammer on it. That's how it's done. It's a simple. The chemical process is that simple. That you take raw, the forging process is one that iron turns into steel through a process of hammering, and that the hammer strokes actually change the metallic composition of the iron itself to turn into steel. That's a little more complicated than that, but that's a real part that does happen. And how different is it than our lives? How different is it? We've been through a lot, and we've been through a lot a long way. And that our inner state, our inner place, that God can and does and will dwell with us, is real. One of my favorite mystics, Teresa of Avila, she was a medieval mystic, who wrote the account of the interior world, and that of her inner life. She spent much time in meditation, much time in prayer, much time in the inner world, the title of her story is The Interior Castle. It's the interior castle. She could have called it. It could have been the interior farmstead. It could have been the interior, TJ Maxx. It could have been the interior. No, her understanding and the deep delving of in the interior life is just the interior castle. The understanding that we have built within us this structure. We have placed within us this structure. And she says this, she says, for though we know quite well that God is present in all we do, our nature is such that it makes us lose sight of the fact. But when this favor is granted, it can no longer do so. For the Lord, who is near at hand, awakens it. And even favors aforementioned occur much more commonly, as the souls experience a vivid and most constant love for him, whom it sees or knows to be at its side. The interior castle is the place in which God can come to dwell with us. If you wonder where that is in Scripture, we only look at the very end of Scripture, the very end of Revelation in the 22nd chapter, when God spends time laying out the blueprints of the holy city, New Jerusalem. Now, the holy city, New Jerusalem, is not just an idea of like where we'll go, where the streets are paved with gold in the great by and by. It may or may not be that. But what we do know is that it is the place in which God comes to dwell in the city with us. And God comes to dwell in the city with us here and here and here. God comes in the city to dwell with us in our hearts and in our minds and our bodies. God comes in the city to dwell with us in the interior castle. This is what Teresa is on about, with God present in all we do and in our nature. And it may be in our nature to lose sight of it. It may be in our nature to lose sight of the fact that we are in charge. We have in charge of stewarding, of caring for this grand interior castle that God has given us. This grand beauty of being able to make that which we need make. For Roosevelt it was that I'll make my body, but for each of us it is a different way or a different thing or a different, maybe a hole in the wall. But the great image of the holy city is that it has walls all around the city. You think about heaven, you think about the image of the heavenly city, why would there be walls? But quite actually, it is the greatest of all walled city. The walls are a mile high. No one can ever get over the walls. And to think about that, we as people of integrity, we as people who are prepared for the day of adversity, we as people who have Christ dwelling within us, that the strength is not small, but quite the opposite. But it is, as the Proverbs say, through the wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established, that there are these walls a mile high, that we in our inner self, that same blueprint dwells in us, and that same blueprint that we are well and whole and good. And on every one of the four sides it is square. Every one of the four sides are three gates, and the gates are always open. This image of the holy city, New Jerusalem, this castle, not just out there in the great by and by, but this castle and this blueprint that God has given us, that Teresa kind of maps out as our fortress, our citadel, our life of integrity in this world, that we are ever and always open to anyone who comes from all sides, but we are never, ever open to be overwhelmed, open to be dominated, open to be controlled, open to be crushed, for the walls that God has set within us are a mile high. One of Roosevelt's most famous speeches, and I think his very my favorite quote of his, and he has a lot of quotes, uh, but is what is called the "Man in the Arena" speech. It was actually when it was given, it was given in France, and it was standing room only. It was packed. Literally, you could not get another body. There was I forget now the number, but it was something like 5,000 people jammed into this hall to hear the words of this man, not talk about foreign policy, not talk about what, but to talk about the strenuous life and the embrace of the strenuous life, the embrace of taking up our cross and following Christ, the embrace of being ready for the day of adversity, the embrace of what it means to build a house through wisdom. And this is the quote. And I feel like it is more appropriate and more real in our days than ever it has been. Because friends, we're at a I think we're at a vulnerable time. We've been through times of adversity. But it is not when their pressure is pressing in on us that we collapse. It is quite at the opposite, I think. It is when the pressure is released that we then might fall down like a wood pile being pushed on that just doesn't quite stay up on its own, but with something leaning against it, something pushing on it, it'll stay up. But as things fall away in these days, we recognize that maybe we are not as boundaried as we were, and that we find ourselves in the arena of life. We find ourselves waging our own war. And here's Roosevelt's words. It is not the critic who counts. It is not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. But because there's no effort without error and no shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. It's my hope that you will take up the strenuous life. Take up this next week, as we spend a little time apart, a little survey of the interior castle. Where is it? Is it the body? Is it the mind? Is it the heart? Is it the soul? Is it the being? Where is it? That you might lean into the strenuous life, where you might enter the arena of your own battles and dare greatly, that you will know victory or defeat, that you will have the experience of being alive, that you will dare greatly. And not faint in the day of adversity, and not have a strength that is small, but that you might, in walking the path, following Christ Jesus, with taking up your own cross, taking up your own responsibilities, taking up your own life and all that is within it. Know the full measure of what it is to strive and to live and to dwell in the house of God. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today. It's been a journey. We have we have I just want to look at the chat over here real quick. Good morning, everybody. So, hi Priscilla. I didn't notice that you came in. Good to see you. Hammering. I'm so bad at that hammering. I totally feel like I did a lot of this. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So there's so much. If I leave you with anything, this is not to feel as if you're not doing enough or you're not holding enough. That this blueprint wasn't yours. This was God's blueprint for you. This path isn't yours. This is God's laid out this for you. Yours is to walk the road and to come to the love of God in this. So, all right, friends, we'll be worshiping at 282 Rock Street right here in and we'll have TC Coronite. TC is the retired pastor of the Weymouth Congregational Church, and I dare say he's one of the better preachers I've ever heard. TC is terrific. So he is a truly inspiring guy and a great and a good friend, like just a terrific guy. So I hope you'll be here with us at 282 Rock Street at 10 a.m. To worship. I will be away. I'm actually bringing the message at Tremont Congregational Church in Tremont. Down on MDI. So if any of you are in the MDI area, come on down at 10 a.m. We'll sing some songs. So anyway, blessings to you all. Thank you for your presence, your communication, your joy, your being here. I could not, would not, um, and have not the ability to do this without your presence with us. Whether you're here right now, alive, or whether you're catching this later. I do see the numbers. I know you're there, and know that I'm praying for you, and that the love of God is with you and dwelling with you in your life. All right, friends. I will see you in a week, and peace and grace to you all.